Hi. Hey, it's Bridget. Welcome to Fairy Grasshopper, my YouTube channel. I am just getting ready for a session this morning. And before I do that, I thought I have a few minutes. So let's do some cards or actually story time. We should do both cards and story time. If you are new here on Fairy Grasshopper, my YouTube channel is about everything intuitive. So I talk about psychic stories. I talk about intuitive topics. It could be anything from energy. My nose is itching. Somebody's thinking about me. Who's thinking about me? Energy to divine feminine, to goddesses, deities, angels, saints, totem animals, to shaman work, drumming, elements, elementals, fairies, and also past life, afterlife, future life, galactic, starseed energy. I mean, really, I speak a lot of languages when it comes to psychic. I am a psychic medium, but in my private session work, I work as an intuitive life coach because my goal is to help you, live your life to the fullest you can, and understanding the emotions you're feeling and the energy and how that feeds in, and working toward whatever it is that is out of alignment with your life to realign things for you, and to also support you on your intuitive journey, because I do psychic mentoring as well. So there's a lot there, a lot. All right. So here's a little story first. Here's a little story I'd like to tell about. Okay. So yesterday I went to yoga, and I go to yoga in a salt room, which is really cool. Himalayan rock salt. Have you ever been to a salt room or salt cave? We have a couple here around the Twin Cities, and I went to a salt room to do my yoga. And I've been trying to get back into it and go a couple times a week. It has not worked that way yet. I've only gone once a week, a couple of times, but I really like the lady who's doing it, and it feels really good. And the salt room is awesome. So I went to do it, but because of a mix up in scheduling, it turns out I wasn't scheduled for that day, or something else was scheduled, and there was no yoga that day. So I drove about, not that long, like 30 minutes to go to the class. And I was waiting in the waiting room, and there was another psychic that works there. And she was talking to someone who was waiting for the acupuncturist. And so they were having a conversation. Sorry, I have a little bit of a peanut M&M. I can taste it. I love peanut M&Ms. Just so you know, it's like a Bridget thing. Peanut M&Ms. Yes. Anyway, I'm like, oh, I can taste that. All right. So they were chatting, and I just kind of sat there like a normal person. And this other woman, I've only met her one other time before, and she knows I'm a psychic, obviously, because when I went into this wellness place, I talked to the owner, and we were just having a conversation, a nice conversation. And I just said, oh yeah. And yeah, I'm an intuitive also, and that was it, kind of thing. I didn't like, oh, I do this. And I wasn't like that. Because I just want to be a person, I don't want, because as soon as people know you're psychic, it's like they start asking you questions, and then it becomes less about you and how you perform or what you provide. It's like, what? I just want to be a person, make some friends, have some peers. And if they're psychic, yay, we can be psychic together. No big deal, right? And so the woman who owns this wellness center is great. Her energy is really good, and just kind and nice and interesting, just genuinely interested as a person. And so just so sweet. I just really like it. It feels really good there. And so, so these other two women were talking, and I just kind of sat there playing on my phone for a little bit. And then I couldn't help but the psychic was talking about how so crabby she is, and how she's just so annoyed with everything, and just like tired of stuff, and how she has a past life come up that's like a galactic past life. Galactic past life. It's so funny. That seems like an oxymoron, doesn't it? A galactic, so a star life, past life. It's like, it's so weird, right? Because they are diverging, like coming together kind of thing. And there's, past life, future life right now. That's a thing, guys. That's a thing. Watch my above life channel. and watch the channeling I do with David Bowie, because I just did one, and he talks about galactic star energy stuff and how it's influencing the peace energy and the healing process for us as humans now. Check it out, Above Life channel on YouTube. That's where I do my mediumship psychic work, 100% for free for everybody to watch. Okay, so she was chatting about that a little bit with this woman, and I was just like, oh yeah. And I mentioned something to her. I just said, and she's like, what do you think that is? She said something to me, and I said, resistance. I said, resistance. I said, oh, well, it depends, I guess, on the individual, doesn't it? And I'm like, we all know that, right? It depends. It's individual. Like, why can't we just feel better? Why can't we just receive? We were talking, she was saying something about receiving. Why can't we receive? And I said, because they were talking about taxes, I think, too. And I said, well, I think it's, that's individual for everyone, right? And what keeps us from receiving? And then I said, but it boils down to just resistance. You could just say it's resistance. So whatever that is for each of us as individuals, right? And do you guys know that when I first started doing my intuitive work here on Fairy Grasshopper, I did an entire series about the power of resistance, because I'm really good at resistance. I'm very stubborn. I have really wrestled with my ego mind, and I still do from time to time, of course, 100%. And there's no way you cannot be in your ego mind and be a human. Maybe unless you're like a monk or like a Ram Dass or something. I mean, maybe, I don't know. So I haven't met anybody like that. Let's just say it's normal to be in your brain and to overthink and be analytical, because it's gotten us very far in our lives. And it's not about abandoning our brains. It's about working with the brain, right? And knowing that it comes up to give us information to help us work better within ourselves, which is body, mind, heart, and soul. The 4-part model that I work with, very simple, very basic, but 4 pieces: body, heart, soul, and mind, right? So I just said, oh, resistance. And, she just kind of looked at me, and I'm like, yeah. I could tell she was like, woo, 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 with her emotions, because I feel that too. I said, oh, I feel you. I feel you. Yeah. And it's a full moon and all that. And it was St. Patrick's Day. It was a whole thing. So we could totally feel that, right? So I just kind of listened, and then I kind of got a little sassy and funny, because that's how I get with energy. When somebody else is like, woo, 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 with energy, I get a little, oh yeah, like one of my friends would say, you're feisty. I'm like, well, that's just how I'm responding to the energy that's being dished out into the environment. So I will get feisty. If somebody's mellow and chill, I will get mellow and chill. I can match the energy, right? And so we're talking, and I said, well, instead of like, I said, I'm sure you tell people to journal all the time, because she's a psychic. She's like, oh, yes, yes. And I said, okay, well, she's like, I've been journaling like crazy. I said, okay, well, obviously there's other things. I said, have you painted? She's like, what? She's like, oh my gosh, it's funny you say that. And, and I'm like, yeah, well, it's not funny. It's psychic. Psychic. Helping with the healing, helping with the flow. Sometimes emotions are not meant to be identified and dwelled deep into. Sometimes they're just passers-by. It's like relationships. Sometimes people are meant for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Emotions are not for a lifetime. So anyway, so it was interesting. And then, I sat for a little while, and then I left, after like 10 minutes, because I'm like, oh yeah, I got enough of my own stuff, right? And so just listened for a bit and then left. And so anyway, interesting. So there's a lot going on, apparently, galactic wise, because she shared a little bit about that. And I was like, oh, I said, yeah, actually, I just channeled David Bowie. He talked about that. So yeah, that's absolutely true. And then this other woman was talking about this plasma stuff. And I said, oh yes, I've seen that since like last June, since June of 2021. I've been seeing that plasma stuff, and it's like an elixir. It's like an energetic current from the astral energies. And it started as like a yellow, like a first kind of a silvery, cooler color. And then now it's like then it was moved into like a gold catalyst energy, lightning, like liquid lightning. And now most recently I've been seeing it red, deep red, rich red, which is earth, which means to me, it's kind of gone through the iterations, and it's been integrated into humans' bodies. And so it's a healing thing. It's what it is. It's a healing. It's like an elixir for healing. Anyway, well, I better check my time. Oh, I got a few minutes, just a couple more minutes. So we're going to have to do a card here. But so, yeah, so Talked about all sorts of stuff like that. Interesting. Resistance and things you can do to help the flow of emotion and energy. Don't hang on to your emotions. It's not worth it. Do not become them. Just be aware in awareness with them. You can play with them, use them like paints on a canvas. If you're tired of journaling, it's not working for you, paint. I don't care if you don't paint. Go to the craft store. It's not hard. Get some acrylic paints. Get a little, use some coffee mugs for your water bowls. Use a paper plate to squeeze them on. Squeeze on the paints. Get some cheapy brushes. No big deal. And get a couple of canvases. It's not hard and it's not expensive. Maybe for like $30 in, it can be incredible healing. Just so you know, incredible healing. Just try it. Okay. All right. So I had to tell her too. I'm like, it's not outcome based. Remember that? Remember, it's not always about goals and outcome. When it's intuitive, it's about the process and being present for the journey. That's what life is. The journey, being present for the journey and the process. Life is a process. Living is a process. There's no, I'm done. When am I done with this? I'm like, you're never done. We're never done. If you were done, you wouldn't be a human. Just saying. So stop asking when this is going to be done, because that means death. And by the way, death is just a transition point. It's like waiting in the damn airport for the next airplane. I hate to break it to you, but that's what it's like. So don't hurry up and be done. Work with what you're given. Work with what you're given. And if it's crappy, it's like, if you get lemons, make lemonade. Not enough sugar, then find some. Harvest it. Harvest the good and the sweetness. Balance the sour out, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's do some cards. I keep hitting this, you guys. Oh, what cards should I use? Okay, I'm going to use the sweet cards that I like so much for my personal journey, since it's about my process, right? 13 Moon Oracle. This is like it's not really a tarot, it's an archetypal deck. Okay, there's different types of intuitive divination cards and decks you can get. This one's an archetypal deck. It's 13 faces of the divine feminine. Each of the 13 faces has 3 cards to it. So yes, 33, my friends. All right. So these are gorgeous. These are deep though. They're deep. And for many years, I've had them for like probably 9 years, these cards, 8 or 9 years. And for many years, I could not use them, and I could only use one card at a time. And now it's like not as big of a deal, but they're powerful. But it's because of my divine feminine connections. I have a lot of them. I love working with the goddesses and the deities, although I do not always listen, which is probably why I get the Durga, the Kali Mas, and the Isis goddesses, right? Sometimes I get Lakshmi and Green Tara, sometimes, not always, sometimes. I have 2 really great cards right here. And speaking of Kali Ma, liberation. Speaking of the plasma, look at red and yellow. Hello, plasma. This is just an affirmation of the fact that, yeah, if you've heard about that, other psychics talking about that, especially galactic star people that talk about star stuff. That's legit. It's a thing. It's like the lava or the magma. Remember learning about the magma at the center of the earth? Oh yes, it's like that. It's no big deal. Don't be scared. It's no big deal. You guys, come on, please. Oh, there's so much more things to be more fearful of, and they're usually human. Liberation. Hey now, don't dream it's over. I can't sing. I can sing. It's just not good. Liberation. That's the song. It reminds me of the line from that song, Crowded House. When the world, okay, sorry. Whoa, I don't know where that's coming from. Frequency, songs, music, vibration, frequency. I just talked about this on a live stream or on a Fairy Grasshopper video this week. Check it out. The frequency. Yellow, white, and black. Balance, fluidity, dissolution, non-resistance, and freedom. Sounds exactly like what I was just talking about, doesn't it? Oh, yes. Those who love fire and light. Very nice energy. And then we have, I have like 1 minute, 2 minutes. We have connect. Look at the wheel. We just, the Celtic year, we just had We just had St. Patrick's Day. I'm very connected to my Celtic roots as far as past life energies, and my spiritual soul is a very Celtic vibes, not in this lifetime, but in other lifetimes. So that wheel, that turn of the life, it's turn of the wheel, the turn of our lives. It's like the different stages and phases of life that we're in, the energy of connection. This spider actually showed up in a meditation I just did in one of my divine feminine priestessing groups. And the spider was one of the energies that I got on my shield, my warrior shield. So it says expansion, larger view, vision, present moment, and groundedness. This is about like making, not just making connections externally, but connections within yourself, like the reoccurring patterns that you have. Like when I told the psychic to paint, and she's like, oh, my mom, just interesting. My mom said that. Did you ever paint? And have you painted? And I used to draw, she said, when I was younger, but I've not painted for a long time. And I didn't do that when I was younger, just older and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, it's time for that. So noticing the connections, the patterns, the reoccurring patterns. And when stuff comes up and it pisses you off and you're really angry about your old patterns resurfacing and you can't understand why the same thing's happening over and over again and why that person is treating you the exact same way, it's because there's a pattern. Be aware, be aware. It's in your face. Frying pans, who knew? Tangled reference from Disney. You get an opportunity to see the pattern, learn from it. Okay, can we just please learn from it? This is from the Weaver Dreamer archetypal energies. Expansion, larger view, vision, present moment, and groundedness. So again, these are from the 13-1 Oracle card deck. The links are below, as well as other divination cards and tools for you to use. These are beautiful, very good ones for today. So this is Bridget with Fairy Grasshopper on YouTube. Thanks for being here. I hope I've inspired your spirit today, filled you with some hope, and encouraged you to live your life. It's your life after all. You get to live it. Just live it. If you're interested in a session with me, check out my Bridget Inspired Facebook page and click on the booking button. There will also probably be a link here to have an intuitive coaching session with me. That's not like a psychic reading, it's different. But if it feels good to you and you're kind of interested in that, that's great. I'm not going to do question and answer. I'm not going to tell you your future because I believe that you create your future, not taking your power away. That's not what happens. It's about awareness. Thanks for being here.